Hey there! Before we get started on this video, I just wanted to say a few things about body shapes, and I also wanted to introduce myself if you're new around here. So my name is Jamie, and I have social channels and my blog and my style subscription linked for you below if you want to check any of those out. So today we're going to go into details of how to do your measurements, and then I'm going to talk about the 5 body shapes so you can figure out which one you are. And it's going to be short and sweet and simple and easy. But I do want to say that if you don't have a tape measure and just want to look in the mirror with some fitted clothes on or just your bra and panties and, kind of see what shape your body is. So look at your waist, your bust, and your hip measurements, kind of the difference between those, and also look at your shoulders if they're broad or narrow, and then you can kind of figure out which one that you are in without taking your specific measurements, and that would be helpful if you want to do that without doing the measurements. But I do want to say that I think this is another approach to finding great style. If you struggle with trying to figure out what works for your body, then this is a great subject for you to learn. It is not the only way to have great style. So I am rectangle shape, plus my secondary shape is inverted triangle because I have really wide shoulders. And so I have to be careful that I don't accentuate my shoulders, which if you're rectangle, a lot of times the styling is to accentuate the upper and lower body and make the waist look smaller, and I have to do that differently because I have broad shoulders. That's where this shoulder measurement comes in, but we'll get into that later. So I just want to say that I think it is a great thing to know when you are putting things together for yourself and trying to dress yourself. But it is, like I said, not the end all be all, because I love walking around in sweatshirts and leggings and things that may not be the best for my body shape, because that's what I love to wear. So I think style should be what screams your personality. It is what is on the inside that comes out on the outside. And I think that is the important part of style. So this is great information to know and will help you, but it does not have to be a scientific thing that you have to follow all the time. I do think it's important if you have to look really nice for events or work, or you're in the dating scene, things like that. I mean, these are suggestions for body shapes that will help you figure out what looks best on you, that you could look best for these occasions. But it does not have to be that for your everyday style if it just gets really complicated and you just don't like wearing what it says you should wear. So I just want to throw that out there before you get started, so you know that this is just something fun to learn, and it can be helpful if you want it to be. So we're going to go ahead and jump into doing our measurements. Hey there, and welcome to my first video on body shape classifications. We are going to talk about how to do your measurements. I'm going to show you how that is done, and then we're going to talk about the 5 classifications after you do your measurements so you can see which one you actually fit in or which 2. So if you have not watched the video that I did introducing this series, then I'll link that above so you can check it out, and just pause this, watch that. It's really short, and it'll tell you just a few pointers that you can think about before you actually start trying to figure out what your body shape classification is. So if you want to get started, you can pause this video if you want to grab your tape measure and do it with me. You will just need a flexible tape measure, something that is easily wrapped around your body. You can find these at Walmart or Target or your local craft store. Super easy to find, and this will work perfectly. Mine makes a little bit of noise, so sorry if you hear that clicking on the camera. Also, you want to be in minimal clothing. If you need to wear bra and panties, fine. If you can have no clothing on and do this, then that is the best way to go. But for me, I'm just going to be showing you, so I just put on clothing that you could easily see what I'm doing, and I was not about to get on here in bra and panties because I just don't think that's necessary, and I think this will give you a good idea of how you need to do this. So let's go ahead. We're going to do our measurements for hip, waist, bust and shoulders. So for the hip measurement, it's not going to be on the hip bones like a lot of people think. You are going to do the broadest part of your buttocks, where your buttocks protrude the most. I know that's just the best way I can explain it. Sounds funny, but it is what it is. So we're just going to wrap this around, sorry for the clicking, on the broadest part of your buttocks and do that measurement there. And you don't have to pull the tape super tight, but do get it taut around the body. So there's not a whole lot of space. And then for the waist, you're going to do in between your rib cage and your belly button. And you're going to hit the smallest area where your waist comes in the most. And then for the bust area, again, you want it on the broadest part of your breasts and do the measurement there. So wherever they stick out the most. And then for the shoulders, this is a little bit more complicated to do on your own. So if you have someone at home that can help you, that's great. If not, it can be done. Just hold your shoulders in place and kind of wrap that tape measure and see where it is going. I think the shoulder measurement is not always included in body shape classifications, but I do think it's important because I do think it actually plays a big part in how things fit your body. So we're going to take those 4 measurements and we're going to look at we're going to look at the 5 classifications that I have for you so you can figure out which one you fit in, and this is going to be lots of fun. So if you want to pause the video and do your measurements, or pause the video, grab a tape measure somewhere and come back and watch it and go through it, I'd love for you to do that. You can also save this video. I don't know if you know that you can do that on YouTube, but and you can come back to it, and then we're going to go over the body shape classification. So I'm going to pause the video, I'm going to have a seat and just go over the 5 with you so you will know which one that you fit in. So I'll see you in just a sec. So now that we've talked about how to take your measurements, let's talk about the 5 body shapes. The 5 body shapes are hourglass, round or apple shape, rectangle, triangle or pear shape, and then inverted triangle. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about each one of these shapes, and then I'm going to tell you what area of your body you can focus on in order to create balance when you're styling that shape. So the first shape is the hourglass shape, which we are all very familiar with because most of us women desire to be this shape. And it is the prettiest, the curviest, and the most symmetrical. So this shape is where your bust and your hips are the exact same measurement, and then there is a really, really defined waist, which is usually a 10-inch difference between your waist and your bust and your hip. So if you don't exactly have 10 inches and you have a really defined waist, then just if it's several inches, then you're probably good to go in the hourglass shape. So to style this shape, the main thing that you want to think about is keeping that waist defined, not adding too much bulk to the top, middle, or bottom of your body. You really just want to style it to where the clothing naturally flows along your body line and you're not adding bulk and you're not trying to over accentuate it. So the next body shape we're going to talk about is the round or apple shape. So this is probably the one that is the hardest for people to style. So this body shape is where your waistline is larger than your hip or your bust measurement. And so this shape usually gains most of their weight in their midsection. The other characteristics of this body shape are they probably have a little bit more of a bust, narrow hips, and then really slim, pretty legs. So to style this body shape, what you want to do is try to distract from that midsection. And to do that, you would want to accentuate the bust and you'll want to accentuate the pretty legs. So you can add clothing that can make you appear curvy on the bottom so it helps balance and distract from that midsection. So the next one is the rectangle shape, which I am very familiar with because I am somewhat rectangle shape. It's my primary shape. And this is where you are pretty straight down and athletic looking. And so your bust, waist, and hip measurement are very similar and maybe even exact. So with this body shape, in order to style it, you want to try and create curves. So you want to try to cinch in the waist and then add curves to the top and the bottom by your clothing so you can look balanced and be a little bit more curvy. So the next shape is the triangle or pear shape, and this shape is where the hips are larger than the bust, and depending on how large the hips are compared to the bust, this shape might have a really defined waist. Some other characteristics of this shape are narrow shoulders, small bust, and then legs that are a little bit fuller, unlike the apple shape where they, or the round shape where they are slimmer. So to style this shape, you really want to focus on adding more curves to the top of your body since the bottom half of your body is larger. And so to help give that balance, you would add things to make your top look larger, and then you would try to define your waist. And then that will help minimize the bottom half of your body. So the last shape we're going to talk about is inverted triangle. So the inverted triangle is where your bust or your shoulders are actually wider than your hips. And so this is my secondary shape. So I have very broad shoulders, which when I get dressed, I have to be really careful because my inner body is more rectangle, but adding my shoulders to it makes me an inverted triangle. So I have to be aware of things that I do on the top half that don't accentuate your shoulders. So if you are an inverted triangle, you want to make sure you try to distract from the broader chest or the broader shoulders, depending on what it is. So you want to add more to the bottom, whether it's in prints or styles, to where you can bring the focus down a little bit and you can minimize the broad shoulders. And again, try and define that waist. That seems to be the main thing in most of these shapes, is to try to get a defined waist and make the top and bottom half symmetrical. So when you are considering what shape you are and then you want to figure out how to style that shape, these are just a few pointers. The next videos are going to have a whole lot more detail for you on how to style them. I just wanted to give you an idea of what your focus would be if that is your shape. And these other videos will give you more details on those. So look for those starting hopefully next week. And then I will also have guides in the online style application that I have called Your Guide to Style that will be for body shapes. So you will be able to look through a slew of outfits that would be perfect just for your shape, and they'll help you along. And I will have some of those outfits in the next videos for you. So thanks for watching today. I hope this was helpful to start, and I hope you'll continue on in the next 5 videos and learn lots more things about these shapes. And thank you so much for watching. I would love it if you would hit that subscribe button. And if you want to check out our online style subscription, just go to our website at www.yourguidetostyle.com. And I will also link it for you below.